Oh, that's a good one. That's kind of terrifying. We're gonna get that one. Copy and paste. Yay.
No, I don't want to be at Dynamite D&D. I want to be at Geek Grills. Oops, wrong keyboard.
You got... Are you double fisting keyboards? Is that
I
a thing?
Because I have my notes. Oh,
Just
I have to
imagine
mute
you
the stream.
sitting there with like an organ setup with 2 keyboards.
I do. I've got the desk has a little pull-out drawer, and that's got my Mac keyboard on it, and then I've got my PC keyboard up on the desk with that, and I've got 2 monitors going, and on a tiny little desk. You wouldn't believe how little mouse room I have. It's kind of absurd.
What was I gonna look up something. What was it? Oh, I remember.
And Jen's not here. So I will pimp us to the Diamond Club. Because that's been working. Alright. Do I want to tweet it? Sure. Be ready to go. We're going to be ready to go on time.
Hooray.
Hooray.
Okay. I found a spill.
Good.
I just want to paste.
I'm scared to turn on Skype. Because it's such a diva.
Just in case it messes with your settings.
That's just a universal blanket statement. In general, always be scared to turn on Skype.
So if I turn on Skype, maybe Jen can call in. Maybe not. But if I turn on Skype, it also might just do its diva thing and break everything else. We're just going to have to do without the Jen. Maybe she'd call me on the phone. I could hold up my phone to the speaker. Or to my mic. Especially because she can't use data, so she's gonna... That's kind of the only way.
So is she doing, like, her delivery thing, or what is she up to?
She is doing laundry at a friend's house. Because she has a job interview on Tuesday.
Oh, that's good.
Okay, let's do a little testing while I look at my meters.
The bumper's working?
No. I mean, they work,
okay.
But only I would be able to hear them.
Okay. Well,
you guys won't.
You're hosting anyways.
And I'm hosting, right. So I will go ahead and put in what I can. But so you guys won't hear it.
If there's strange, awkward pauses, it's because we're trying to let everybody hear our bumpers.
It's like the Twitch can hear them. I can hear them. I haven't yet managed to get Voice Meter to shove them through Discord for you guys to also hear. That, and you always have to get everybody online to test that sort of thing. Otherwise, you just try to go live with it. When it does work, you get feedback or something. Something inevitably happens. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, give me a test, Steve.
This is Steve Negrete coming at you live from San Diego, California. I'm going to promote Dynamite D&D. Just let me know whenever you have enough from me. This is how I'm going to be talking most of the time. Levels.
Perfect.
We're good.
Linda?
Awesome.
All right, checking out. Why is that not to mute that? Don't need that. Okay, we're testing the levels here. So make sure we're all good.
Okay, it looks like we're all coming in around the same Hooray. Don't have to dick with any of it. And... Okay, into my notes. 3, 2, 1, I'll play the bumper and I'll start talking. Everybody else ready?
Ready.
Games, gear, grills. Welcome to the Geek Grills Podcast.
Well, hello there, and welcome to episode 141 of Geek Grills Podcast, hosted by women, just talking about nerdy stuff. We are supported primarily by our patrons. Please go today to patreon.com/grills. I'm September, also known as 9 of 12, and I'm joined by my co-host Linda, also known as True Noob.
Hi there.
And today we have a very special guest, Steve Negrete of Dynamite D&D.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. Glad to be here.
So glad to have you. The Jen couldn't make it today. She's having internet issues. You might notice, our viewers might notice we look a little different because I'm having to run the stream today, and I don't have, our frames and all that stuff. I think I actually even use a different banner than she does because this is like old school grills setup. What have you been up to this geeky week?
Am I going first?
Yes.
Okay. My D&D adventures continue. We're still doing our Dungeon of the Mad Mage. I am best bard there ever was. I discovered in big quotes there, counter spell, which my character had never used before. I managed to snuff out a kill spell, so I was like, yay, my party members didn't die. Hooray.
Hooray. See, bards are good for something. They get such shit, and it's just not justified.
But I am best bard.
If I might ask, what level are you? And give me some details about your bard subclass, preferred weapon, preferred instrument. Give me the juice.
So she's a dragonborn bard. We've just reached level 6.
Ooh.
We're doing 5e. I haven't subclassed or anything. She's just straight up bard. But she was an outlander, so I've got a lot of tracking, and every time we kill a monster, she takes something from it. So I now have I have a Grick Alpha Beak. I have a Undead Beholder's Eye Stalk.
Wow.
And a couple other bits and bobs, and it's just she eventually just gonna have a belt full of random pieces of monsters.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, she, let's see, prefers rapier and crossbow.
Mm-hmm.
And her favorite spell is shatter.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
What if I can continue to just kind of interview you about your character? What college do you follow as a bard?
Lore College, of course.
College of Lore. Very good.
Yes.
Very good.
She's very spellcasty as well, so
Yeah.
I have a lot of fun with that. In my crochet news, the first row of my Totoro blanket is complete. So it's not 8 feet long. Fortunately, I have I have sized it correctly now. Yes, thank you. So I've got, for our people that are live with us, it doesn't look like much right now. It's just a big old string of granny squares, but that's the bottom of the blanket. It'll eventually become a blanket. Eventually.
So when you say Totoro blanket, is it going to be a design of Totoro, or is it just something that's from the movie?
A Totoro, he's going to look like
sweet.
a pixel Totoro.
Awesome, I dig it. I love me some pixel art.
Yep, that's the easiest way if you want to make big blankets out of granny squares. You can make them look like pixel art by just using the square blocks. It's fun.
Clever. So clever.
Yeah, and then last Saturday, actually no, yesterday. It's been a long week. My friend and I did our little Good Omens photo shoot in the park. It was a lot of fun. It was very hot, but so we had to keep taking off like the sweater and jacket that we had, and as we were moving from spot to spot. And our friend is a photographer, so she just came out and was helping us be cute, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice. So what have you been up to this week, Steve?
Oh boy, it has been a bit of a week. So as you might have guessed, because my internet handle is Dynamite D&D, every week we've been doing this D&D live streamed game on Twitch. It's in person. It's around my table in my house, and so we do the game, and we have a bunch of fun, and we stream it on the internet. And then after the game is done, during the week, I edit that video, that 6-hour-long video, and I condense it down to the important bits, which usually condenses it down from 6 hours down to about 2 hours. And that takes a long time, and that's kind of what takes up most of my week these days.
So that table...
But it's a heck of a lot of fun. All the edited videos get posted up on YouTube. We'll do a spiel later on where I give you the whole link dump of all my nonsense, but that's super fun. In addition to the D&D game that is weekly, I finally got back into kayaking just earlier today, right before I sat down to this podcast. I was on the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, kayaking, which is super fun. I love kayaking, but I have not gotten around to it this summer until just this past week. So I'm very happy that I got back into that. Other than that, the usual, hanging out, video games, watching movies, playing D&D. It's a good life.
It is a good life. I was looking at your Patreon page. I see that friend of the show Curly is one of your players. And that table you have is pretty freaking epic. We'll talk about that when we get into the meat of the story here for sure. I am so envious. So what have I been up to? Well, comics this week. Dun, da, da. Obligatory comic talk so that I can write them off. I am reading Zero's Journey still. It's a limited series about Zero from Nightmare Before Christmas getting lost. It's backwards. It's like an indie Japanese style, so it's backwards like a manga, which is a little weird to get used to reading for me. Not my normal format. But I am enjoying it. The art's quite different than most of the things I read. And I gave a copy of, a friend of mine was like, hey, my son wants to get into comics. Where should I start? Should I let him go? He wants to read, X-Men. I said, no, maybe don't start there. The kid's like 8. So it gets a little dicey in some storylines. But I had a copy of, from Free Comic Book Day last year, Dear Justice League, which I thought was perfect. I think I mentioned it before on the show. It's got really, really great art, and it's kind of stories where it's kids writing letters to heroes and their responses to it, and then they're kind of going through their day and kind of examines how honest, they're asking Superman, are you really super all the time? And then just kind of a series of screw-ups that Superman has throughout his day, causing bigger disasters from saving one thing, that happens. So really cute little stories. And during San Diego Comic-Con recently, that was the recent one, right? The big one. They just released the full graphic novel with all of them in it. So it was a perfect time to give her kind of this sample. And if he likes it, she'll be able to just pick it up in graphic novel form, which is definitely friendlier for a kid that age, in my opinion, anyway. The other thing is, those of you who know, I had a vocal cord surgery last month. Well, last night I went to an open mic and I debuted my new voice. My husband unfortunately did not live stream the first song because that went very, very well. I did Why Don't You Do Right? The Jessica Rabbit version.
Very cool.
The feedback I got was Rob forgot to record because he was busy getting his socks knocked off. The people in the brewery were all it went quiet in there, which it doesn't ever. And so I was very happy and proud. I was nervous, which I don't normally get nervous when I'm performing. I never have, but I was shaking like crazy because my voice is actually different. Somebody said to me, wow, Rob hasn't heard you sing in so long. I'm like, he's never heard me sing with that voice, even before I was losing it, 15 years ago when it started going down. My range is different. But yay, it was exciting. And I sang a couple more times. And those of you who have been to or can go to tinyurl.com/help9 and are helping with my fundraiser, we did post video of me singing Part of Your World a little later in the evening from Little Mermaid, so you can see what you helped with.
That's
So,
sweet.
yeah. So
Do
with
you
that,
sing? If I may just ask, I'm kind of curious now because do you sing any of your original stuff, or is it all based on movies and other show tunes and stuff?
I haven't sung anything original since I was in a band in like 1993. so, so no. Hopefully, though, now that I have a voice again, I'll be able to do things like some backup work with my husband's band, the Peculiars. That would be really amazing. But other than that, no, I'm just a cover girl.
Cool. I mean, everybody likes a good cover, so
Yeah,
it's awesome. Good for
it's
you.
certainly fun.
I can't sing worth anything, so you've definitely got a one up on me for sure.
And with that, I guess it's time for the Geek Grapevine.
News team, assemble! Geek Grills Grapevine.
So Google open sourced live transcribed speech engine this week.
I did see something about that.
It's like the speech, the recognition that's used in all Android devices. So I know a lot of people are going to be really excited about this going open source. Is that it?
See. Well, I'm just want to look. I need to open the thing first. Give me a second.
Huh.
I mean, it can't do anything
So-
but improve it, right?
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool.
It is really cool. Just I'm hoping it's better than the nothing against Twitch, but Twitch's live caption it's not that great.
Yeah,
They
can
try.
Twitch stop automatically turning on my closed caption as well?
Yeah.
I wonder what engine
cool.
they use for that.
I don't know.
Do you think they use that Google engine?
Maybe now that it's open source, they will. Maybe they'll change it.
If
So
anybody knows.
this is a tool that uses machine learning algorithms to turn audio into real-time captions. So my first question is, how many languages does this currently support?
Well, I guess it does. Is it going off of what Google Translate already knows? Because that's quite a few.
Seems like it. I mean, if Google is releasing it, then it seems like it's going to all be based on the Google architecture already.
Well, it says
Google definitely has translate options in its web browser, so
right,
it
and
seems like it would be all the languages it has support for.
there's news about their cloud speech HPI. Back in 2017, they had added like 30 new languages back then. So it definitely supports a lot of languages already, because that's from like 2 years ago.
Has Google, do either of you know off the top of your head, has Google dipped into the live translate market? I've seen devices in the past that are like, you speak into this and it translates out here, so you never have the language barrier anymore.
I want
I'm
that
just
so
curious
bad.
if Google ever got into that.
Yeah, I don't know if Google has gotten into it. I'd be surprised if they hadn't, because between this and their other AI stuff, they keep going open source with more and more of it, and that would let them move into that market more quickly. I would love like a real live Babblefish, right? So
That'd
what
be
else
cool.
have we got here?
Yes. It's fun. It has pictures in it. I found this article that apparently there's some flooding going on in Florida. Go figure. And there's just alligators just swimming around on the roads and getting over fences and climbing fences. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that kind of freaked me out. Like I used to live in Florida, then being in the road isn't like, yeah, whatever, they do that. If there's water anywhere nearby, gators just wander around, they'll come up in your yard. But climbing a fence? Yike!
Yeah. Like the picture is fun because it's just somebody taking a picture outside, like they're in their car and they've got a shot of it. Just cruising down the road, like, "Hi, buddy, how you doing?"
You'd
Oh, that
be
makes me wonder
amazed.
about my grandmother. My grandmother's in Florida. She's
Oh
in
man.
where is she? She's like 2 hours out of Orlando in a little place called Winter Haven.
I used to
So
live
don't think she
there.
got affected by this.
I used to live in Winter Haven.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I got family down there. It's a place. It's a place that you
It's a
go
place.
sometimes.
Yeah. It's not real exciting there.
Yeah, no, the other one, the other part of it, is the video of a gator scaling the fence
Nope.
at
Oh yeah.
NAS Jax.
Nope.
Which is hilarious.
No way.
So it's
I want
just
nothing
like,
to do with that.
up he goes.
I'm a big fan of reptiles. I like animals in general, but reptiles are I think super super cool. I mean, if it wasn't totally illegal and totally like immoral, I would want a pet alligator. Just saying there. It's always fascinating for me when people are saying like, "Oh yeah, there was an alligator in my backyard yesterday." What? Ah, that's so cool. We don't get too many interesting animals here in California. I mean, we're kind of a desert, so occasionally you see snakes here and there, but other than that, not so much. Not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a boyfriend in Florida who captured a baby gator and he had it in his bathtub, and it was just no. Had to get rid of that. They're not like tameable. You're not going to keep them in a cage, reptiles. They're way too far feral.
Well, perhaps he was an aspiring Bond villain. We have to think of his long-term goals now. Come on.
You know? So the Jen's not here, but in her honor, we will have a spill story this week. Ta-da! In Portland,
Yes.
Oregon, an overturned semi-truck spilled potatoes across the roadway, causing the police to close the eastbound on-ramp to Highway 26 from southbound Cornelius Pass Road Friday afternoon. The police say no one was injured, but there are potatoes everywhere.
Everywhere. That last part is what made me like be like, okay, this is the story, because just the policemen are like, there's potatoes everywhere, man.
Man, I really wish we could have a recording of that call that the police officer made. Attention dispatch, this is Unit 321. I'm on Highway 26 in the on-ramp. There are potatoes everywhere.
Right?
Sorry, officer, did you say potatoes everywhere, dispatch?
Okay. Are you having a stroke? I think would be
Potatoes.
I'm just imagining that like they didn't want people driving on them because it would end up in an even more terrible mess.
Oh,
Because that is just that turns into mashed potatoes on the road, and that's no good.
it's really, really no good.
I'm curious as to the ecological impact that these potatoes are going to have, because if you don't know, if you just leave a potato out, it'll start growing stuff from the potato itself.
Yeah.
That
So
would be
you know
neat.
they're not going to clean up all those potatoes. There's going to be a wild potato crop in there, in that little off-ramp.
Right?
On-ramp soon.
That would be neat. Although it would be really a pain to try and harvest them. Of course, it also depends on the soil. I don't know if it's sandy enough in Portland.
Oh, the potatoes will make it sandy enough. You give them time. Those potatoes will make a home.
They can be persistent.
Mm-hmm.
I've
Some
grown
kid is
potatoes.
going to have a field day plugging in light bulbs into all those potatoes, watching and see which ones light up.
That'd be a great science project.
That's like this.
Pickles.
It's a stereotypical science project to make a potato light bulb. I actually have no idea how it works, but because it's been so ingrained in just TV and movie imagery, I'm like, oh yeah, potatoes can create electricity somehow. I don't know, but somebody's gonna harvest those and make some money selling electricity back to the state.
Yeah.
That's my call.
Okay, so moving on. We have our very special guest, Steve Negrete. Everybody should go to his Patreon. You want to give the address and tell us about this table.
Oh boy. Okay. So, the reason I'm on this podcast called Geek Grills is because I have a very large hobby of playing Dungeons and Dragons. My Twitch handle is Dynamite D&D, and Dynamite D&D is a pet project that I started this summer. It is a live in-person Dungeons and Dragons game with me as the dungeon master and 4 of my friends as players. We all get together in my house, and I have a whole room dedicated for the D&D game. The centerpiece of the game is my custom-built gaming table, which consists of a 55-inch flat-screen TV that is set into a metal gaming table Surface. It was custom built. It was very, very expensive. I went to a metal shop and I told them what I wanted, and they fabricated it for me. And I mounted the TV in there, and I use the TV for digital maps. I just have a computer off to the side that's loading up the maps that I put onto the TV. We put our miniatures on top of the TV and play some D&D, and it's a really fun time. The Dynamite D&D project itself is the live stream that is going on Twitch. We have been doing weekly games throughout the summer. This is the first summer that we've done it, so it's kind of been a project, an ongoing project where we're figuring out what works and what doesn't work. But for the most part, we're sitting around. We have 8 cameras pointed at us, so everybody has their own individual camera shot, and then I have other shots of the table and the room in general. And I'm switching video on the fly. I've got the table, which I'm putting maps on. I've got a computer right here that controls the sound system and the lighting system of the room. For example, I could go, if I wanted, I could go green, and now I'm going green. Wow. If I wanted to go blue, I could go blue, and now I'm going blue. But for now, I'll just go full color.
I really
So
envy
I've got
your
lights,
amazing
we've got
preparation
lights, we've got
there.
sound, we've got ambiance, we've got maps, and we've got an incredibly talented and creative group of friends that are around the table. It's a whole lot of fun to come and watch the stream. We play for about 6 hours on the weekends. But if you tune into twitch.tv/dynamitednd, that's our Twitch channel. We also have the social media outlets, which is we've got a Twitter, which is Dynamite D&D on Twitter. We've got an Instagram, which is Dynamite D&D on Instagram. And the Patreon, again, is Dynamite D&D on Patreon. The Patreon is kind of fun. We've got a number of tiers that you can donate to, ranging from $1 for the lowest level tier, which is dubbed the Cellar Rat. You could be a Cellar Rat if you donate $1 to the Patreon. Then all the way up is the Ancient Dragon tier, which is a $100 patron. We've got one crazy out there who donated a $100 patron, so thank you so much to our one Ancient Dragon. We love you to death.
Nice.
Whenever I see them on the stream, I'm like, hey, what's up? I love you.
Right?
But yeah, it's a whole bunch of fun. If you have any interest in D&D or just like technology of what D&D can be, it's a fun story and a fun group of people. Every week we're doing it, so check out that Twitch.
And folks, that is DND, the alpha, the letter N,
Yep.
not
The
an
letter
ampersand.
DND. Yeah, that was actually a point of concern that I went back and forth in my mind for a long time. I think the deciding factor that I used to keep it DND is because, number one, it's way easier to type because nobody wants to hold shift and then find which key actually has the ampersand on it. And two, because the official D&D Beyond website is actually DND. So I'm like, if it's the official D&D website, then I'm going to go with that.
Then it's good enough.
That's how I decided that.
That makes sense. So you manage to actually get
did you
together
name
every
it that?
week? Because we have
Sorry,
trouble doing that. I play with a live group as well. But getting everybody to actually show up every week can always be a challenge.
Yeah, that was one of the, I wrote up a spiel that I emailed to everybody who I thought might be interested in playing. I'm like, this is what I'm going to expect, and this is what we're going to do. I want it to be weekly. If you can't commit to weekly, then you probably should not join this game. But luckily, I found a good group. People I know, people I love and trust, and are local in town and have pretty much regular jobs that, we play on the weekends, so the regular jobs are accommodating in that regard. But yes, playing in the past, I remember tearing my hair out many, many times when people would be just last minute, oh, I can't make it.
Yeah. Yeah, too many things in our life are like that. Are you writing the story, or are you running modules?
I am writing it myself, yes. I have never actually run a pre-generated module, so I can't say whether or not I enjoy them or not because I've never run them. It's just never been something like I don't know, I buy the core books and then I read all the core books. I'm like, oh, cool. And then I just start using the core books to write out whatever the heck I want for an adventure. It never really crosses to my mind to spend more money on something that somebody else has written when I've already got, a whole pages and pages and pages of stuff that I could just throw at my adventurers.
What version are you using?
One time, we're playing 5th edition. We're definitely playing 5th edition. They definitely have been doing it right with 5th edition in my mind.
I love 5th edition. It's
Yeah.
just super clean cut and easy to use.
I started playing the very first D&D game I played, I think was some version of 3.5 that one of my friends had made. And so, do you both remember the days of THAC0?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Those were dark
still have a
days.
friend who swears by it and won't play any D&D that doesn't have it. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, 5th edition is really great, and plus we have one completely newcomer and one kind of newcomer. So 5th edition is very welcoming to the newcomers. It's very forgiving, much easier to understand.
I find that to be the case as well. We have a mix of people in my group, and some, were brand new to the game, and some, and I shouldn't say my group. I'm not running this one, but my DM is running. No kidding, old school, just AD&D, like second ed, and it gives me such a headache because I was playing 5e for a while. We had an online game we used to run on my stream, and and then I played with Trebizzle from Team Gates. He was running a game for us for a while, and we always use 5th. So there are things that are outright backward, whether you're trying to roll over or under stuff, and you're dealing with THAC0, and so every time you change your clothes or change weapons, like, it's so cumbersome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you played other or run other tabletop RPGs?
I have never run anything other than Dungeons and Dragons. I started my DM career when 4th edition had just come out. I remember I spent a lot of money on the 4th edition books because there were so dang many of them. That was how 4th edition made all its money, was because there were so many books. I had an entire shelf filled with all the supplements. I had fun with 4th because that was kind of the new thing, and I was like, oh, cool, it's not as complicated as this 3.5 stuff. But then 4th edition was highly criticized, and looking at 5th, 4th edition was kind of its own special child. So I have definitely
Isn't that when
not
they
run
finally
anything
just said,
besides-
oh, let's just move over to Pathfinder?
And yeah, I haven't run anything
was
besides
eating their
D&D.
lunch, so they had to come up with 5.
Yeah. You just mentioned that you are a player in another game, and Linda said she was a player earlier. Have either of you ever considered running a game?
I have run a game before in 5e,
Aha.
but I use it as a framework and I set it in my own universe.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, I used the rules and such, but I had them set for a very specific purpose. If that makes any sense. There were a few house rules. It's just I had a story in my head that I wanted to share with my friends in a D&D adventure setting. Probably not the easiest thing I could have done as my very first game. But, we went for it. We had a lot of fun. I had a button pusher, definitely, in my first game. He was playing a halfling rogue, if that, tells you anything. But it was a lot of fun. Rooftop chases and all the like.
I've never run D&D. I've run Villains and Vigilantes, which is a superhero game from back in the day. I've run Top Secret. I've run Stalking the Night Fantastic, which is a Call of Cthulhu game, RPG. I was into a lot of weird, obscure games. I played Vampire the Masquerade for years and years, and Mage the Ascension for years and years. Although I didn't run those. I ran Mage for a very short stint. But I've never actually run D&D. I only started playing D&D really a few years ago. I mean, other than... Actually, that's not true. I guess when the first D&D actually came out, like the little plastic bag with the paper books and the crayon fill-in dice back in the 70s, my neighbor got it. And he couldn't figure it out. It was he couldn't figure it out. So I did sit down and go through learn the rules, and I ran a little game, but then none of the other neighborhood kids really were interested. So I didn't play D&D again until I was probably 40. But I did get into a lot of other tabletop RPGs in my 20s.
Well, as a DM, I thank you both for taking the step up to actually run games. It's my opinion that the whole table benefits when more people step into both roles. There are definitely things that you don't consider when you're a player of how to make the game interesting and help the DM. And the same thing on the flip side of the coin. You don't realize some of the things that can make your game better because you don't have the perspective of the player. So having both of those perspectives in mind, no matter which side of the screen you're on, just having that perspective makes the game, in my opinion, a lot better and more cohesive, and people are in tune with what they want and what they expect. And it's just a good thing. It's just definitely a good thing to have that experience under your belt. So, any listeners out there, if you're ever on the fence about, like, I kind of think I might want to DM, but I don't know, it just seems like a heart, you should do it. Just dive in, just do it. Number one, everybody will be throwing themselves at your feet and thanks for being a DM because they're such a rarity. And again, you're going to have a lot of fun. Storytelling is an amazing role to play in the world, and it's going to be a blast. So take that plunge, dive in, be a DM today.
That's true. Everybody should. More people should. All the reasons you mentioned and the burnout. I know that the DM I have now, he's starting to get burnout. He was burnout. He wanted to play so bad. He just wanted to be a player. He's like, please, can I join your game? And he would come over to our house, and I would lend him a laptop, and he'd go in the other room because we were playing online with people on Twitch. So we'd all get into Discord, and he got to be a player for a little while, and that kind of scratched that itch for him, and it gave him ideas, and then he was ready to jump in and start running again. And now we have, an in-town game that he's running, and my husband had been running an online game, and he was getting burnout too. He just wanted to play. So now they kind of traded spots, and Bruce is starting to get antsy again and a little tired of playing, and I'm a good player. I have consideration for my DM. My husband is not so much. He's one of those, oh my god, pain in the ass, every time he gets a magic item, he breaks it and almost kills everyone.
Yes, the button pusher.
Players that just go off on a tangent. My character ended up being the party leader, and I think it was mostly just because I'm the only one who could see where he was trying to get us to go and get everybody to eventually please just go there. This poor guy has to make up new shit every time we show up because you won't even consider. It's cool. The game, it has taken turns that I know he's enjoyed. He's never had a group of people start a business. We have a brewery. We're opening shipping lanes, taking on pirates to get, distribution lines. We've got a whole economy thing going on besides, your normal beating up kobolds and whatever. So that's been fun. But my husband he's been inspired, and he's like, I want to write a storyline in Bruce's world. And Bruce is like, yes, please do that. Go ahead. So now every time we go out drinking and we run into Bruce, they go off in a corner and, trade ideas. And eventually my husband will kind of do a mini adventure in that world. He'll run for a while, and then Bruce will be refreshed and can come back. What are you going to do when you have burnout? Is Curly or somebody else going to step in for a while, do you think?
I have never had the luxury of having anybody on the docket who would take up the DM position. However, I am also very lucky that I've never really experienced burnout. I've never had a game that I was not looking forward to. I've been a DM since when I mentioned earlier, since the days of 4th edition. I have not ever played in a long-running, overarching, year-plus long campaign. The only playing I ever did was small one-shots, if I got lucky. But yeah, I've never really gotten sick of D&D, and I've not gotten sick of the DM role. In fact, I would say that there was one time where Curly, one of our players, Curly, he was doing a one-shot that he got from a one-page dungeon from Reddit or something, and he was running that, and I was having a blast being a player, but at the same time I was still in the DM headspace, and so I was like, oh, he could do so much more if he went this way with that, and I was wanting to take control and form the story the way I saw it in my head, and I had to step back from that and just let Curly tell the story. So being in control of the world is kind of intoxicating when you get there. So again, aspiring DMs, have fun with it and be careful. Just make sure everybody's having fun and that you're not getting carried away in your own head.
Yeah, I actually, like, when I ran my first game, I made a list for myself of things that I had learned. Number one is that the plot will always shift when it meets the players. Um, and number two was to not railroad them. Like, that's kind of the point, is they're there to help you tell the story. So you can get to the point where you want eventually, but you let them have fun along the way. Don't be like, no, you must stay on this path, the whole path, and nothing but the path for the entire time.
Mhm.
Sure, go off into the woods. Skeletons pop up. Let's see how you fare.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always fascinating to see what they latch onto. Like September just said a second ago, they started their own brewery and did this whole economy thing. Some people, I don't. Some people just latch onto that stuff and they love it. They're like, no, what? I don't want to go fight that zombie beholder. No, I got responsibilities to take care of my company over here. Come on,
Oh my god,
you got to roll with the punches.
my players latched onto an NPC that I did not expect them to latch onto, and I was like, okay, this is his name, this is his backstory. Okay, he's now part of the party. Cool.
And then
we've got
you gotta
we've
ask
got a
yourself
couple
if
of
you're the
those.
kind of you gotta see if you're the kind of DM that will like make him their best friend forever, or if you're the kind that will totally break their hearts and have him die in their arms as they fight off the invading hordes.
Yeah.
My DM
It
has
was-
terrible luck with that, where we'll have an NPC that's around for a while, and it's just like kind of a nice, useful device, and it's fun, and there's banter, and then we get in a battle, and that character will like behead the bad guy in one critical hit, just dead, and then well, on to the next thing. Like his NPCs have more than once one-shotted.
We actually
Sometimes-
had. Oh, go ahead.
So I'm just saying, sometimes it's how the dice roll, and you gotta roll with the punches.
We actually had in our recent adventure that we're doing right now in the Mad Mage dungeon, there's an NPC you can pick up along the way. Spoilers, I guess, if anybody wants to play that adventure. But there's an NPC that you can pick up along the way that's a revenant. You can have a friendly revenant as long as you're helping him get his vengeance on those that abandoned him in a pit to die. And it's like, if we hadn't had you along, that undead beholder would really, really have screwed our shit up. Like, really. Because we basically set him, the two undead things just like bonking heads as we're trying to get the other bugbears and humans that are down there that are in this cult. And we're like, well, he's got that handled.
Yeah. He's good. We're fine.
good.
If they die, it's no big deal.
Revenant
They're
will
dead
just come
already.
back. The
Don't worry
Revenant will
about it.
just come back. Like, literally, he got zotted with the disintegration ray, took like 30 points of damage, and like regenerated all of it in the next turn. And we were like, I am glad you're our friend. Friend! Hi, friend! You want to go kill the other person? Sure. Lead the way.
It's funny that you mentioned the undead beholder. I was this close to actually putting a zombie beholder in my game for the past couple of sessions.
They're
But
hard.
you're like level 6, you said, and yeah, my party was level 5. So I'm like, oh, this is a level 5 creature. I wonder if I should throw this at them. I ended up not throwing it at them, but I was close.
I think the only reason why we would have had like a really hard time is because there were so many other monsters around as well. It wasn't just the undead beholder. It was like 4 bugbears, 5 bandits, and like a Hoss NPC, like a Hoss. And we're like, we just gotta get this thing done with. There's a whole lot of stuff in that adventure between the Zents and the Zentarum. The Zentarum and Xanathar, excuse me. I hate that they have such similar names. I hate it. Whoever wrote that.
So do you have any... do you try to guide when you're setting up a game so that you have a balanced party? Or do you just let people choose whatever they want and then make the game
Yeah, like,
work.
do you do a session? Do you do like a session 0 where you guys figure out how they mesh?
Because up until now, because I haven't had a dedicated group of people, we've been doing a lot of one-shot adventures where people just can make whatever the heck kind of characters they want. So for those, it was kind of a grab bag. Oh, I just feel like playing a paladin. Well, if you're gonna, I don't know, I feel like being a cleric. Okay, we got a paladin and a cleric in the party now. That's cool. For this particular Dynamite D&D campaign, we did, in fact, have a session 0. It is my philosophy that you should always play what you want. And as the DM, it's kind of your responsibility to, again, roll with the punches and build a campaign that kind of makes it so that they don't just get steamrolled because they don't have a dedicated healer. However, a lot of my players are, video game players, and so the idea of balance is always in the back of their head. So it ended up being a pretty balanced party, all said and done, at the end of the day. But no, I don't force them to choose anything. I say, play what you want. If something sounds interesting or you just want to give it a shot, go for it. I'll fill in the gaps. If you're deficient on healing, then we'll see what happens. We'll work it out. There might be some more healing potions in this particular game.
That's what's going on in my game. We
Yeah.
don't have healers, but we have really easy access to potions. We're always carrying a lot of them.
Yep.
And there's an NPC we can call in an emergency. We have some kind of magical shell phone.
Do you two have your favorite go-to character classes and races, or do you kind of always just shift it up and you don't have any particular things that you're drawn towards?
I'm always kind of drawn towards spellcasty bard. Obviously I'm playing a bard now. A lot of the other games that I play in, I play in a couple of LARPs. I have played several performance characters. It's just something I went to school for music, so it's something I'm very familiar with. I did do I have changed it up a couple times and played the super fighter, but I like I don't want to call them glass cannons, but I like the ones that are I do this and this, and now I have to run quick because I'm about to get hit.
I've tended in the past to go with casters too. I played a bard and then I played a cleric, but I am playing now, and we've been at this game for a long time now, but I've been playing my first just fighter. Just second ed, plain old fighter.
Yep.
Some things about it are super boring. You level and kind of nothing happens. You just get more hit points for the longest time until you start getting followers. My DM though is clever, and I end up with a weapon that is the Master Sword. So it gains abilities. I can spend some of my experience to level the weapon. So that's made it more tolerably interesting. And I did some stuff, because in my head, I wrote a background. My DM also gives experience points for writing up a background for your character. Mm-hmm. And I had taken, for skills, I had a shipwright and heraldry and stuff. So I decided, she grew up with pirates, and in my head she was kind of Wonder Woman, type character. So at one point I got a magic rope that somebody joined our game and then left, so we killed him, and I was like, I'm taking that rope, because he had a magic rope. And I sought out a spellcaster in a town, and I had it enchanted with a friend spell. So it was kind of the golden lasso effect.
Huh.
So I had to get clever to make the character more interesting than just hacking and slashing, because I really have had a hard time playing that, along with somebody my stats are all pretty bad. It's hard to play. A 12 intelligence is really, really hard. People are trying to come up with stuff that is I know the solution, and I feel like I have to honestly play my character would not be able to figure that out.
Yeah, I do tend to lean towards like intelligence characters,
Hmm.
like less strength, and I do that a lot for my World of Darkness characters. I'm like, nah, I know I'm supposed to be playing a werewolf that has like a bajillion strength, but I'd rather be smart.
Yeah.
My go-to whenever I have had the luxury of being a player has always been the Dragonborn Paladin. Fell in love with that character long ago, and since it's so few and far between any games that I actually play, that's the character I always play.
Nice.
Yeah, my bard is the one that's I've got signed up for Adventure League,
Hmm.
which
Nice.
I don't know if I'm going to do that Dragon Con this year. It was really hard to hear. Last year I went
Ah.
to an Adventure
Huh.
League game and they've got them in those big ballrooms and
Yeah.
there's like 10 games going on at once and I'm like, "Eh, what'd you
Hmm.
say?"
And Steve,
I stab it.
have you been a fan of any other like there are D&D card games, D&D fiction?
I have not explored many of the other official D&D medias out there. Um, so,
I
yeah,
have
so
a
not really, no.
I have a friend who's read all of the Forgotten Realms books. He's like, he could write a dissertation on Forgotten Realms and like everything that's happened in it.
Yeah,
I
Rob was really into
did,
Forgotten
once upon a
Realms.
time, I did watch that Dungeons and Dragons movie that came out years and years ago in the early
Oh,
2000s that
yeah.
was absolute garbage.
Oh, so bad. I watched it recently just for the nostalgia of it, and I watched the Dragonlance cartoon. Oh, holy crap!
Did you ever watch the old school Dungeons and Dragons Saturday morning cartoon?
Yes,
That's actually not bad. That
it is
cartoon is
not
actually
terrible.
not bad.
It's really hard to
It's
find
old and it's
online now.
primitive, but it's not bad in terms of D&D.
I loved the Dragonlance books, and it's interesting. You go back and read them, and the first few are so obviously like they just wrote down what they played. Like you can see where the die rolls are happening. But then the writing got better later on. Although some people would definitely disagree with me and have. I understand that you brought a quiz for us. Normally, we would ask if you're well marinated enough and grill you from here and ask you a bunch of random questions, but instead, I guess you're going to quiz us?
If you wanted to, I have a
Sure.
trivia game that I wrote up. Admittedly, I'll say I've used this trivia game on 2 other podcasts already, but
Well, I
they
have
had
not
a
heard them, and my
whole-
monster manual is not in the room.
The other 2 podcasts had a whole bunch of fun with it, so I figured if you guys wanted to, yeah, we could totally play.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
So this is a trivia game that I created. It is called D&D or Falsity. It is basically a trivia game where I give you a monster and a description of that monster, and then you tell me if you think that this is an actual monster from Dungeons and Dragons or if I just made it up and if it's a creation of Steve instead of Dungeons and Dragons. So, the super easy question that I use for the tutorial question, this is just to figure out how the game works, is okay, so where's my tutorial? Okay, so the first monster that is the obvious give me question, an owl bear. An owl bear, a cross between an owl and a bear, with a reputation for ferocity, aggression, stubbornness, and sheer ill temper. One of the most feared predators in the Feywild. And so then I would ask both of you, is this real or false?
It's real.
Yeah, it's real because
Of
I
course,
remember owl
you
bears.
do. Of course, you two would get that one. It's super easy for anybody who has any D&D experience. Owlbear, one of the quintessential Dungeons and Dragons monsters. So because you both got it right, I would give you a point each for that.
Yay!
And then if you feel like being competitive, I could give you the score at the end of the game. There's a couple of Jeopardy questions in here which you can bet your points on to try and get ahead, but it's a fun time. So, yeah, let's go into it. I've got a big list of real and a big list of false. And the way I determine which one I'm going to tell you, this is to eliminate game theory. I'm going to actually roll a d2 so that I tell myself which I'm going to give you. So the first question is going to be, this monster is called a dragon dog. A dragon dog is a dog-sized reptile capable of spewing an elemental breath weapon. Only chromatic dragon dogs exist, as metallic dragons would never allow such an insult to their race. Dragon dog, real or false?
I'm gonna say
I'm gonna.
false because the name is just too lazy.
I'm gonna.
Lazier than owlbear? Come on.
I'm gonna go with false.
So both of you say false. The dragon dog is, in fact, not real. Made that one up.
Yay.
Good for you.
Yay!
Next question coming at you. The next monster is an intellect devourer. An intellect devourer is a walking brain with 4 legs. It feeds on your brains and then takes over your body. Real or false?
That is real.
Linda says real.
I'm gonna say falsity.
September says false. The intellect devourer is, in fact, a real Dungeons and Dragons monster. That is
Yes.
1 point for Linda.
That's another stupid
we're
name.
facing so many of them in the Mad Mage. In the
I was like, I
Dungeon
can
of
think
the Mad
of
Mage.
6 monsters that do that, but I didn't know there was
There
one
are
just
monsters.
named that.
Our poor monk went dumb literally got stupid for a little while because one latched onto him. We had to give him like so many potions to get his intellect back up to where it was.
Oh,
His
yeah.
intellect went down to like 2.
Well, yeesh.
Yeesh.
All right, you got a leg up on that one. I actually have no idea what's in the module, so you'll have a leg up the more you've played. Next question is going to be a galumph. A galumph is an aberration, which is a relative to the highly intelligent flumph. The galumph is a non-intelligent, green-colored flumph that uses its stinging tentacles to inject a paralyzing toxin. The creature, galumph. Real or false?
Is it spelled with a is it like PH or an F? Glumfin.
Spelled with a PH. Galumph.
I'm gonna say it's real.
Say that again. You cut off at the very end.
Oh, I'm gonna say it's real.
You're gonna say
Why
it's
not?
real. All right. September says real.
I don't. I've seen the one that it's supposed to be related to. I remember seeing that in the monster manual.
Because I want it to be. I want it to be like Fanfi. Or Mrs. What's her pickle from Adventure Time, the little elephant.
I'm gonna say it's false.
Linda
No.
says false.
Yeah.
September says real. Linda says false. The galumph is, in fact, false. Totally made it up.
Yay!
I'm terrible at
And
quizzes.
yes. The current score is Linda 3, September 1. Next up on the quiz is going to be a creature that is called a Kulkukan. A Kulkukan is the infernal name of snake devils. Kulkukan are disgusting serpents with hundreds of tiny vestigial appendages along the length of their bellies. They're most common in Dis, the second plane of the 9 hells. Kulkukan.
Real.
September says real. Linda says?
Not real.
Linda says false. The Kulkukan is, in fact, false. Made it up.
I must be in another game.
uh,
I just swear I've run into
Kulkukan.
this creature.
Kulkukan is actually was derived from Aztec mythology. Kulkukan
Okay.
is one of the gods of Aztec mythology.
That would
I
be
just
where
took the name
I got
and
it.
made it. a
I used to
snake
study religions, so
devil.
That'd be what.
Damn it!
You're like, I know that name.
too much mythos in my head.
Don't know
The-
where it's from.
The next creature on the list is called a dark mantle. A dark mantle is a creature that clings to cave ceilings, passing itself off as a stalactite or lump of stone. It drops on unsuspecting adventurers, crushing them and enshrouding them in magical darkness. Dark Mantle, real or false?
Real.
September says real.
If it's not real, Trebizzle made it up for our D&D game.
I'm
And
gonna
it's going to be his fault.
I'm gonna say it's real, just because I think I remember reading about it, but I don't. Nah.
The Dark Mantle, both our hosts say it's real. The Dark Mantle is, in fact, a real Dungeons and Dragons monster.
Yay.
So yes, your DM did not make that one up.
All right. I didn't think he was that clever.
The score is now 5 for Linda, 2 for September.
What are we going to?
We can go, if you want to, we can either go to a point total, or we could just tally up the points at the end.
Okay, whichever.
We'll tally up the points at the end. We'll make it interesting now. We'll go to the Double Jeopardy bonus round currently. So, in Jeopardy fashion, you can wager your points on this question. You have to wager your points before you hear the question, however. So, Linda, you have 5 points total. September, you have 2 points. September, how many points do you want to wager on this question?
I have to wager them all to even have hope.
You're going to wager 2. Linda, how many are you going to wager?
I'll wager 2.
2. All right, playing it safe. So 2 and 2. If you get the question correctly, you will gain those additional points. If you get the question incorrect, you will lose those points. This is a variation on the game because I'm going to give you a multiple choice question. I'm going to describe a creature, and then I'm going to give you 4 names, and you have to tell me which name is the creature I'm describing.
Okay.
The creature is... It is a creature resembling a great cat with sleek blue-black fur. It has 6 legs, as well as 2 tentacles sprouting from its back, ending in pads tipped with spiky protrusions. The multiple choice is A, a grell, 2, a displacer beast, C, a gelatinous cube, or D, an androsphinx. Once again, A, grell, B, displacer beast, C, gelatinous cube, D, androsphinx.
Okay, should we just say our answer? Our answers?
Whoever says it first
Let's say displacer
is
beast.
either advantaged or disadvantaged, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, just shout it out. What you think?
B.
Linda
Say
says
displacer
B,
beast.
B, displacer
Whatever
beast.
that was.
September, what do you say?
That's what I said. I said displacer beast.
Your voice gets ducked when a lot of people are happening.
Sorry.
So both of you say B, displacer beast. Both of you are in fact correct.
Yay.
That is a displacer beast, a big cat which can bend light to make it look as though it's in a different place. So congratulations, you've both earned 2 more points. So Linda has 7, and September now has 4.
4. Yay. But we're up on an hour, so...
Yeah, if you would like to call it there, then we
Yep.
can say that is the D&D or Falsity trivia game.
That's fun.
Thank
I
you
like
very
it.
much, Steve. That was a lot of fun.
There are plenty more.
So I do little trivias for like discounts when I sell at conventions my crocheted stuff. So maybe I'll do some D&D trivia for next time.
Nice. Very nice.
There you go. You got a really good data pool for it.
Yay.
And folks, if you want to chime in, give us some questions to use on other games. You can call us at 508-474-5577. You can tweet us at Geek Grills, or you can email us at geekgrills@gmail.com. So what are you anticipating coming up this geeky week, Linda?
Well, I am patiently waiting for the DragonCon app to update itself so that I can start planning my panels. Because I know what days I'm wearing my costumes on due to photo shoots and the like. But I have not been able to plan my panels yet because that's not going to drop probably until like the week or week and a half before. So I just once a day I go and tap the little app and see if it's updated, and then I put it away and just wait for the next day. Other than that, we've probably got another session of our D&D game is coming up on Thursday, so that's gonna be fun. We're heading into Skullport. So for those of you that are listening that don't know, Skullport is the Mos Eisley of D&D. Wretched hive of scum and villainy. It's gonna be great.
Hooray! What are you looking forward to coming up, Steve?
Well, it's funny that you just mentioned Dragon Con. I am also going to Dragon Con, although I'm going with a band. I am part of a band that some of you might know. It is a little group called Steam Powered Giraffe.
Yay!
Yay!
So yeah, if you're there, you can totally see me and say hi and shake my hand. I'm going there whenever Dragon Con is in 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks from now. So we're going to be getting into rehearsals for that because the band has to start rehearsing and make sure we've got all our ducks in a row for that show. Other than that, I have yet to start editing the session 9 that we just had from Dynamite D&D. I have to get on that and start editing the video from session 9 so that I can post it on YouTube. It's going to take a little while. And because we are already at session 10, the summer has gone by in an instant. Session 10 is theoretically the third to last session that we're going to be doing for this project. The way it planned out is that I think it's only going to be 12 sessions. The reason that we're doing it over the summer is because my day job is working at a university, and so I have the summers completely off. So I've got all this time to do this fun D&D stuff and edit videos throughout the week. When I go back to work, it's obviously going to be harder to keep up with that kind of schedule. So I'm starting now to wonder if I should have a talk with the group about what we want to do for the year, the regular school year, if we want to try and do a monthly thing or if we want to just keep it in like summer seasons. We'll see. I've got to start thinking about that. That's what's on my plate coming up this week.
All right. Well, I have D&D tomorrow. Yay! And Thursday, I am going to visit with the vocal expert that works with the surgeon that did my vocal cord surgery to get some exercises and because she can actually see the video and the scope and everything and give me the best way to work on strengthening my new instrument. So remember, folks, you can always come watch us record live at twitch.tv/geekgrills on Sunday evenings. Our next one will be on August 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern Time. You can also help us out. Our patrons are the best girlfriends on the internet. If you go to patreon.com/grills. And, if you have Amazon Prime, you can support us on Twitch for free. Give us Jeff Bezos money. He's got plenty. Come subscribe with your Amazon Prime. And you can also throw bits at us. Watch an ad, throw us a buck. How else can people help us out? Linda?
You can also leave us a review. Doing so is free, and they help our ranking on any of your podcast catchers, which helps people find our podcast, which is great. You can also join our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter if you'd like to help spread the word there.
And where can we find you on the interwebs? How about you go first, Steve?
Once again, my internet handle on Twitch is Dynamite D&D. So if you go to twitch.tv/Dynamite D&D, that's where we have the live games, and then all the blurbs underneath the web player is all the links and all the info that can lead you to all our other outlets, such as our Twitter, which is Dynamite D&D, the Instagram, which is Dynamite D&D, and the Patreon, which is Dynamite D&D, of course. You can also search YouTube. If you search YouTube for Dynamite D&D, we don't have a custom URL for that yet, but if you just search Dynamite D&D, you've got 8 episodes posted on there that you can watch at your leisure.
Nice. How about you, Linda?
You can also listen to me talk about women in gaming on the Glitter Dice podcast, which comes out on the first of every month, and you can find me on Twitch under the name True Noob. That's TRUN00B. I'm hoping to get back into my creative streams again. It's just been crazy. I haven't been able to find the time to get on and stream, but maybe this Totoro blanket will just watch me making 8 million granny squares. It'll be thrilling.
Oh, you're such a square. I can be reached at 9 of 12. That's NINEOF12 on Twitter and Twitch. And you can hear me on the Heresy and Hearsay podcast. Jen can be found at The Jen Says on Twitter, streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/TheJenPlays, and find everything she does at thejensays.com because she owns it. Thanks for listening, everyone. Good game.
Woo!
Game.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
All right.
Yay.
Yay.
Another one down.
Nice.
Also, I wanted to ask during, but I forgot that I wanted to ask. Did you name it D&D Dynamite because of the song?
No, I didn't. That's a funny story. So Curly, Curly, who we all know has been on your podcast. He at one time. So the joke is, Curly has been streaming on Twitch for a bajillion years and has a great following and a huge community built up. He has never gotten partnered by Twitch, and that's always been the joke, that you're never going to get partnered by Twitch because your name is Drunk Kids Gaming.
Yeah.
So there was one point in time where we just sat down and like, well, what would we even call it if it wasn't TKG, Drunk Kids Gaming? And we have to keep the D. And then Curly said, what about like Dynamite Kids Gaming? And I was like, that's actually really good. I'm going to file that in the back of my head. And I might steal it from you later on. And then when this D&D project came up, I'm like, Curly, remember when I said I was going to steal that? I'm stealing it now. Dynamite
Right on.
D&D was born.
Awesome.
Right on. Yeah, we, oh man, I wish we could, sorry, I'm looking at who we're going to raid into, and Frog Pants won't let you raid into them, because they're so paranoid about trolls, and they're playing D&D right now. Damn it. Damn it. I think we just might not raid anyone. Okay, let's look at our showbot. I think I'm the only person who is doing any suggestions for show titles.
Rolling to eliminate game theory and too much mythos in my head. I like rolling to eliminate game theory. I'm gonna
Okay.
vote for that one.
Yeah, we have a thing, Steve, in our stream. If you're not familiar with Nightbot and Showbot, that
come on,
Biocom
give me
makes,
those.
yeah,
I know them
love
well.
them. So, like, it's nice when people suggest the show titles. So much fun.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
well, I guess we
We
will
always get
let you-
random show titles because we let that happen.
Well, it's like we can't rely on always having some bizarre shit pop out, but usually it does. And what was the other thing? Drunks and Dragons is the only D&D podcast I listen to. And they're drunks. I know they've had meetings about changing it, but they've been around too long and have their own con. They kind of like can't change it now.
Yeah.
But they're not Twitch dependent like us dweebs.
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Once again, thank